Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so it is streaming live now. Yes. Okay. We can lock the meeting now.
Okay, and I've put the YouTube link in the chat box.
Okay, great. That's great.
Thank you.
Krish, you can also access.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank.
Shall we wait for 1 more minute to admit? I think there's still some people in the waiting room. And then we can start. Yeah, I think we can lock it now.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. We've anyways put the link so all the participants can share with their friends if they want, if few people have not been able to join at the right time, so they can watch it on YouTube. Okay, tell me when it's locked and tell me when the recording is started, so we'll start the session.
Ma'am, the meeting is locked.
Okay. Recording?
Started.
Okay. Started? Okay. Okay, good morning everyone and welcome to HR College. I am Kanupriya Sharma, professor at HR College, and I'll be seeing you in my classes very soon. But apart from that, I am also the faculty advisor of 3 clubs in our college. Enactus being the social entrepreneurship club, where we promote entrepreneurial thinking with a heart to change the world. The Case Study Club, where we talk about using the case study methodology to solving real life business problems. And Student United Way, which is a club which is a part of the largest NGO in the world. But today I'm here and extremely happy to welcome each and every one of you to HR College. HR College has an history of over 60 years, and HR College students have excelled across the world in all domains, including the corporate sector and the non-profit sector as well. Now, HR College has become one of the lead constituent colleges of the HSNC University. The strength of HR College lies in its extracurricular activities, and it offers excellent opportunities for students across all domains, including excellent academic standards that we hope to achieve in our classes. Under the leadership of our principal, Dr. Pooja Ramchandani, this magnificent all-round culture at HR College has scaled new heights. And I would like to thank Dr. Pooja Ramchandani for allowing us to have this session today. The students of HR College have been the pride of our college because each and every one of them has achieved monumental success in whatever area that they have chosen for themselves. We are joined today by one such student, Mr. Krish Velkar. Before we go on to formally introducing him, I can say that Krish, being a student in one of my classes, has been one of those students who has always been the one with the most interesting examples, the one with the most out-of-box ideas, and the one characteristics which I would say stood out about Krish was his extremely respectful attitude towards teachers and his extremely friendly attitude towards his peer. And that delicate balance was maintained very beautifully by Krish in his 3 years that he was a part of HR College. I'm so happy here today to be sitting in one of your lectures, Krish, all ready to take notes. So over to Anahita to formally introduce Mr. Krish Velkar.
A very good afternoon to one and all present here. I'm Anahita Irani, a current TY BMS student at HR College of Commerce and Economics. With us, we have a very aspiring alumni, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce to all of you Mr. Krish Velkar. He is an accomplished postgraduate with a double master's in marketing, MSc in marketing from University of Bath and MSc in marketing, digital marketing from the King's College London. He is currently working at Ogilvy, which is an advertising agency in Mumbai, as a planner. At HR, he studied a BMS degree and where he captained the cricket and table tennis teams and was the winning team of 2 DSO titles. He finds emerging technology extremely interesting, which is why, for his dissertation, he looks to understand if voice assistants like Alexa can influence a purchase decision for FMCG products. He is also an upcoming author and speaker with his articles published in the Bandra Equity, Brand Equity, APAX, Social Samosa, and e-consultancy. He is also invited to speak on podcasts and webinars. He has a reputation for always being up to date with the new trends in the consumer electronics and is fascinated by new technology. This goes hand in hand with his interest in digital marketing. By nature, he loves to win people's heart and surprises them. He would also love for students to connect with him on LinkedIn if they need any kind of guidance or advice. We welcome you and over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kanupriya ma'am, for such a kind and warm introduction. I think it's great to be back. And I mean, it's just, what I really want to do today is really the excitement and curiosity that you created for me when I was studying. That's really what I just want to give back. And it's just great to be back. And thank you, Anaita, too, for such a warm and kind introduction. I'm really, really looking forward to today. Thank you so much. So, should I just share my deck? Sure. So, firstly, thank you everyone for showing up. I think I know it's a very, very, very early morning lecture, and I know it can be tough. I myself it's been difficult for me to wake up to early morning lectures. So I think thank you very much for that. And I mean, as I said earlier, so I mean, I'm so grateful to teachers like Kanupriya ma'am, I think Nidhi ma'am, Maya sir, just a few of the ones that I remember, and there's several others who actually sparked that curiosity within me to actually study further. And to be honest, I never enjoyed studying. Like in school, I mean, I was probably the most average and disinterested student, but it was purely because of them, because they showed me interest in the subject of marketing. They got me excited for this, and that's really what I want to try and achieve, and do the same with you in whatever time I have and I can. So just moving forward. So, I mean, so why are we here today? So I'm sure, I mean, you'll all have just recently graduated. I mean, just done your 12th standard and getting into your undergrad degree. So, I mean, marketing is an essential bit in business. And what you see today in today's day and age, I'm sure you'll all have experienced advertisements, and I mean, being bombarded. We're in this age where we're just constantly bombarded by advertisements. But the one thing common in all of them is that they're primarily uh, they target your two senses, which are the sight and hearing. So I mean, but the point is that I mean, but we as human beings, we experience the world with our five senses. So why should we limit? I mean, why should we just limit to these two? So I mean, this is what really I want to showcase in this lecture, and I'm going to take you through. So just and so I'm going to try and make this lecture as engaging as possible, and we're going to be filling the chat box with answers from you. So please be as active as you can. So yeah, so let's just move on. Okay, so I'm just going to give you 30 seconds. So if y'all can just enter in the chat box quickly to wake you up, what are our five senses?
So you can use the chat box. You can send your answers to either Anahita or Krish or any of the co-hosts, preferably Anahita, so that she can read out your answers.
Great.
How to
So I think
hearing, eyes, nose, ear, tongue, skin, ear, tongue, nose, vision,
great.
touch, smell.
Exactly. So that is this. So I mean, so basically, as I said earlier, so I mean, a lot of advertisements, like probably we're watching Hotstar, we're watching the IPL. It's purely through sight and hearing. So what is more? So that's really what I want to show you. But I'll also dive deep into different ways in how brands have used sight and hearing. So just to give you an overview of what we'll be discussing today. So how each sense really influences us, and primarily examples of just I just want to fill this lecture with examples to show you what brands have done, and just just to give you some sort of inspiration to what marketing can be. So as I said, so just on a very basic level, what is sensory marketing? It's as simple as it can be. It's basically marketing that engages senses and affects our behavior. Now, why is it different than normal or traditional marketing? So the thing with traditional marketing, when it's primarily targets sight and hearing, as I said before. So these kind of messages are seen as marketing messages. But when it comes to the other senses, people don't normally feel that the a product is being marketed to them, and they're not really viewed as marketing messages, which is even better, because when you're not told that I'm selling something to you, you're more likely to buy into it, because you don't feel the person is selling something to you. So so that's why other focusing on other things like smell, touch, and taste also can be really effective. So just an overview. So what I want, so like the more senses we appeal to, the more emotionally engaged we are. Just a good example. So imagine you're watching a horror movie in a theater. I'm watching a horror movie in a theater, and imagine there is no sound. Do you think, will you feel as scared as you would have if there was no sound? Now let's add, I think you've probably heard of 4D theaters, where you have smell, you have little touch, you have little wind blowing also. So don't you feel a little bit more engaged in that entire experience when you have, when you're engaged with literally all your senses? So that's really what it is, and that's really what I want to show you. So what I'll be doing is I'll be really touching upon each sense and giving you examples for each sense of what brands have done. So starting off with vision. So now in terms of color, okay, now that's the color red. I want to just show you how brands have really used color. So now I want, in the chat box, now I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Whatever comes to your mind when you think of the color red, just type it down. So, the first thing that comes to my mind is love. So like that, just fill up the chat box with just random things that come to your mind. There is really no wrong answer, because it can be anything, because we all perceive the world in different ways, and it really can be anything. So, it could be a brand, it could be just what you feel, it could be a memory of what you remember with the color red or associated with red. It can be anything.
Yeah, we have a few answers. Coca-Cola,
Sure.
Stop, McDonald's, Apple,
Great.
Heart, Pringles, Pepsi, Nestle, Coke again, McDonald's.
Danger. I see danger. I see traffic signal. Great. Warning. Amazing. So, danger.
Levi's, Kit Kat, Tommy Hilfiger.
Great. Amazing. So what I noticed here in the chat is there's a mix. There's a mix of brands, and there's a mix of feelings like danger. So I think that's really spot on. And now I'm just going to show you the next slide. So, someone said traffic signal, someone said danger. So basically these are all the feelings and things we associate with the color red. Now, just imagine, now that's really how brands try and use these colors to subliminally message you, or try and position themselves in certain ways. So I noticed a lot of brands too coming there. So really, these words are brands are trying to associate these words to themselves by using this color red. And just to give you, so this is what we have for the color red. And this is just an overview of how we associate colors. So for example, purple, it's rich and luxurious. So we associate premiumness to that. So you'll see a lot of premium brands using the color purple and calm blue. So now I'm just going to, so this is just basically how you use colors in marketing. And now just to dive deeper, this is just a list of all the brands and how they've used colors. Now, I mean, let me take an example. For example, in the color gray, you see Apple right there. They're elegant, they're balanced, they're calm. So they're definitely trying to get that out there. When you look at the color green, you look at in the color green, there's peaceful growth and health. And you look at Tropicana, which is fruit, artificial fruit juice. So they're trying to show that they're healthy. That's why they use the color green. You look at the color blue. There's trust, dependability, and strength. You'll definitely want Oral-B, which is a oral hygiene in the oral hygiene category, to be trustful. So that's why they've used the color blue. I mean, in creative, you have Cadbury. So then in red, you look at excitement, you think of Coke. So definitely brands are using these colors. I mean, they're not just there for, there's a reasoning behind it to why they've used certain colors. That's what I wanted to just show you. However, what I want to show you is that these colors do apply largely. I mean, these meanings do apply to colors largely, but we're in India. India is like, we have so many religions, we have so many different beliefs, and that so many things mean different things. So I'm just going to show you an example of what I mean, why we need to be wary of using certain colors in India.
So just look at this video, it will give you a insight.
ये मैडम को बहुत ही सैड लग रही थी। कारण जाने खाते हम उनका हाथ पकड़ लिया।
अबे विधवा को देख के ट्राई मारा साले।
हाँ? तो हर कैसे पता ये विधवा है?
ये सफेद साड़ी डाली है, तेरे को दिखता नहीं
Is everything fine? Breathing is well. Just relax. Smile. Smile. Oh my God.
बड़ा अफसोस हुआ कि आपके पति मर गए।
What? कब?
हमका क्या मालूम कब? आप भाई सफेद पहन के घूम रहे हो?
शादी में सफेद ही तो पहनते हैं।
नहीं, सफेद तो मरने पे पहनते हैं।
मरने पे काला पहनते हैं, stupid, समझ आया? Not all
अब तीनों के पति मर गए का? दिखा ही साथ? अबे मैं अभी जिंदा हूँ, तू क्या? बहुत धुलाई के बाद समझ आया कि ये गोले पे एक नहीं, बहुत सारा भगवान था।
So, so you got the idea that we need to understand these colors. I mean, when you're in a country like India, it really differs, and we need to keep these things in mind while using colors. So, this is really how brands try and use color, and there's so much depth and so much detail which I could go to, but I'm just scratching the surface by showing you how brands are using colors. Now I'm going to show you a slightly different part of advertising where it kind of plays with your mind. Okay, now again, we're going to fill the chat box. Quickly tell me how many black dots are there in this?
They're saying 1, it's illusionary, 48, 0. Yeah, those are the answers up till now.
Okay.
Again, a 48. 0. Infinite, none. 0 again. None.
Okay. So, I mean, great. So we have a balance between 48 and 0. The answer is 0. It's an illusion. I think someone mentioned that too in the chat box. But okay, fine, fine, we got this. But can anyone try and tell me why is this a good advertisement? I'll just give you like 15 seconds.
We have an answer here. Neeti says, we got engaged because everything is not what we see, because it plays with our mind or it confuses us. It catches my attention.
Correct. Okay. So great. You all have got this right, that it definitely makes you look twice. It catches your attention. Great, engaging, amazing. But see, ultimately the point of, I mean, marketing is to really, to get the brand in. Okay. Now the brand there that you see is aspirin. What does aspirin do? It cures headaches. What does this ad do? It gives you a headache. And literally that's why I love this. And I think it's a beautiful piece of creative. So, okay, fine. Now let's move on to a little bit of subliminal messaging. Okay. Now again, the chat box. Anyone know what is the subliminal messaging behind these two? Behind these two brands. Why are these brands the way? I mean, why these logos designed the way they are?
Amazon, every product A to Z, and we give everything from A to Z. Yeah, those are the similar answers to that.
Great. I mean, that's amazing. It's to be honest, I didn't know this, and y'all are telling me this. I mean, earlier when I first saw it. So I think just to the fact that I can see in the chat box that most of y'all know this is really amazing, because it means that y'all are looking out and y'all are aware of things. So I'm just so happy that y'all know. So yes, exactly. So the Amazon, that arrow hidden there is it just subliminally tells you that it's forward direction, speed, and FedEx is about speed, and that's why that arrow is there. And the other thing with Amazon, there are actually three things to it. So with Amazon, definitely A to Z. The second one, there is Amazon. In the word Amazon, there's amazing, so amaze. And the third, I don't know if I saw in the chat box, is basically there's a smiley. So you can see that. I mean, you can see this smiley here. So, I mean, these are just, subliminal different kinds of tactics that people use. So, I've really, so something with sight is that I'm sure in college, y'all are really going to dive deeper into this aspect. And so I've really not even scratched the surface of sight. So I'm going to slightly dive deeper now in smell. Okay. So why is smell so what's so important about smell? The thing with smell, unlike other senses, is that you register the smell whether you want it or not. You don't really need to, you can passively consume it and know that you have consumed it. Now, what do I mean by that? Okay, now I'm very, very, very sure that you have attended a lecture, you're listening to the teacher, you can see what lecture whatever is on her PPT. Everything is there. You can see it, everything. But your mind is not there. So even though the senses are there, you need to be really, really actively present to understand. Okay, fine. What is she saying? What is she showing on the PPT? However, now imagine during this whole lecture, suddenly someone opens a hand sanitizer, and that smell comes. Everyone's direction goes towards that. So what I mean is, you don't really need to be actively present to consume this form of sense. And I think that is one of the most important aspects. And the second is, I think someone mentioned it in the group chat thing, Ronit, about talking about vibe and nostalgia. And that is just spot on. And that is really exactly what this is. So for example, okay, Now let's say, I mean, the smell of, I'm sure I mean, I don't know if you all have got the opportunity to have Raju Chinese yet, and HR college, because of all of this. But okay, but let's say for somehow, you get Raju Chinese in my house, and I smell the food that he's cooking. What will happen is that I will not, I mean, what I will remember is my amazing days in HR college in the canteen because of that smell. If you get that same classroom, I mean, you get all the wood in the classroom, you suddenly put it in my house, and I smell all that wood and all the chalk in HR and all, I will suddenly associate all of that to my lectures in HR college. When, I mean, when a doctor is about to give you an injection and he puts that antiseptic on you, I mean, that smell you put, I mean, that liquid that you put before an injection, at least I'm scared of injections. So as soon as you smell that, you know you're going to be injected, and that feeling of like that, you're really scared, that feeling of scared that comes to you. Now that same smell, if I had to make you smell on a beach, on a calm beach, you will still feel scared because you will remember that painful experience. So that's why, like, really smell is so powerful. And I mean that's why it's one really unused tool. And here, if you look at it, 99% of all branded communication is focused on two senses: what we hear and what we see. But 75% of our emotions are generated by, in fact, what we smell. So why are we ignoring this? So obviously, one reason is that smell cannot be transmitted online, which is why. But in the places where it can, why not? Why can't we use it? So now I'm just going to show you a video to just give you an insight into how a few brands are using it.
Scent marketing is the idea of using scent and incorporating to all the touch points of the customer experience. It's very subconscious. So it's not like a logo or something where you can see and everybody sees it the same way. Depending on people's experiences and their upbringings and their history, they might perceive the scent to be a little bit different. It's more emotional.
Chances are you've already experienced scent marketing and you know it can have a profound impact on your mind. Research has found that combining scent with visual marketing strengthens our memory of it in the long term, which can affect how we feel in a very physical way. For example, an ambient coffee scent can emulate a feeling of alertness, even if you haven't had any coffee. And scents that we commonly attribute to cleanliness, like lemon or tangerine, could make a messy store seem cleaner. Various research over the years also found that shoppers in scented environments may linger longer, perceive the merchandise as better, and are more willing to pay higher prices. And when casinos started pumping smells into the air to negate the stench of cigarettes, they saw slot machine usage double.
People are actually more comfortable, they feel warm, they feel invited, they feel welcome. So it's really about creating an amazing experience for customers when they walk in.
Using scent to enhance an experience is actually pretty common. For example, museums have used scentscaping to intensify their exhibits, like adding the smell of gunpowder to a Civil War exhibit. And hospitals use scentscaping to create a more soothing environment for patients. But scent marketing is a bit more complicated.
Scent marketing, scent branding is about using one scent for the whole experience.
If you're a millennial, the first thing coming to mind might be Abercrombie and Fitch or Hollister. These stores use the most extreme form of scent marketing called billboard scenting. Every store smells the same, regardless of where you are, and chances are it's really overpowering, like an oversized billboard. But when you separate that scent from the store,
So I think that has probably helped you just understand what all things, how brands are using it. And I think Mitali has given an example of hospital smell, which is actually an amazing example, because when you smell that sanitizer on the hospital, you suddenly get those not so great experiences rush back in your head in the hospital. So I mean, it just shows the power of scent taking you back to nostalgic. Nostalgic can be good, and I mean, or just taking you back to experiences that you had in the past. So now, how have brands really used this? So Bloomingdale's, I think, a departmental store. So what they've done is, in different sections they have different kinds of smells. So in the swimwear section, they have the fell of coconut to give a more tropical and paradise feel. Then in the lingerie section, they have the smell of lilac because it gives a sensual appeal. And in the infant wear section, they have baby powder. So I mean, I'm sure. I mean, when we smell baby powder, we think of our childhood days because our parents were really really put a lot of baby powder on us. But we remember these experiences as kids. So, but now how? Okay, now you must be wondering. Okay, fine, but how are these senses? Like, do they put perfume in the old store? Like, how do they manage to do this? Okay, so I'm gonna show. Okay, but the thing with scent marketing is very subliminal. People don't want to show that, oh, we're using scent marketing, or they don't want to tell. That's why it's hidden, and I figured that out. I will show you. So that's me. That's in a store in London, where somehow I found where the scent diffuser was. And as you can see there, it's really right there. And when you pass these stores, like these candy, this is Kingdom of Sweets in London. It's really hard, like it's hard to resist not to enter it because of that candy smell. And largely it's not that candy smell, but it's actually an artificially created scent diffuser that is really out there. But now there are few places that are also using it in grocery stores. So I'm just going to show you how they've used it in that.
This savvy shopper just might be onto something. See that little black machine behind you?
Whoa.
Do you have any idea what that is?
Thing? It's blowing a breeze, so it's kind of funky. Don't tell me it's a grapefruit scent air, what do they call the aerator?
Actually, they're called scent air machines, and this supermarket has 5 of them, each piping out a different smell, including grapefruit in the produce section.
I think it's a grapefruit, is it? Or is it not a grapefruit?
It is. Chocolate in the candy aisle.
It improves our mood, you know.
It makes you happy?
Yes.
And rosemary focaccia by the bakery.
It smells like it's home.
What looks like part of a typical ventilation system is part of a marketing campaign that targets a shopper's sense of smell.
The machine is really small, so it's good for us. Nobody can see that.
The store's merchandise coordinator says she installed the machines 2 months ago after hearing about them overseas.
I think because of this machine, it makes customer more like hungrier.
The goal is simple: make customers hungry and in turn, open up their wallets. Does the smell make you hungry?
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, sales in the produce department have gone up at least 7%.
So, I mean, you saw how it's used in grocery, grocery markets as well. So, I mean, so now you can also use it in a lot of ads. So like you see a lot of magazines, they use it and they have smell in that. So it's like a little bit more engaging. So brands have also used it for like scratch and sniff advertising. So another way, I mean, so you look at Subway, you look at Cinnabon and all. Now they might not have scent diffusers, but what they do is their air ducts are very close to where the bread is. Where the bread is baking. So you can smell it even more. So so when you pass a Subway or where you pass a Cinnabon, it's very, very, very hard to miss it, and you really like salivate and you really want to have that. So now, I mean, just to show you an experiment, I don't know how many of y'all have been able to have get that candy. So if y'all can just try this. So basically, if y'all have a candy next to you, which is a Mentos or anything, pop it in your mouth, but make sure that your nose is shut, and and you chew on it for like at least 15 seconds. And then after a good 15-20 seconds, just open up your nose, and then what you will experience is a lot of more flavor entering your mouth. So just to show the importance of the importance of how how smell influences what we taste. So just to give you an overall idea, this is really how this is what we associate smell. So like, for example, talcum powder we associate with safety, security, and nostalgia because of our childhood. And also like leather, so we associate with like expensive furniture. So I mean that's just really how brands want to show premiumness. So I mean, this is really what I mean. I've tried to show you all my favorite examples in scent advertising. So now I'm just going to move on and get into a little bit of audio branding. So this is just one very interesting experiment that was conducted. So there was this wine shop, and what they did, I mean, in that wine shop, there were a lot of, there was French wine, German wine, there was a lot of different kinds of wine. And they just wanted to see, okay, fine, if the music that they play can influence the purchase of, of wine. So what they did is they first played French music, and they played French music, and what they saw is that as soon as they played French music, there was an increase in sale of French wine. But now, obviously, you could think that's a coincidence, and you could not understand why that happened. So what they did is, okay, fine, French music increases the sale of French wine. Let's try it with something, but we associate, French wine is classy, and we associate wine with France to a certain extent. So let's try this with German. We don't really think of German wine. So they tried playing German music. And what happened is, again, they saw that, okay, German music were playing, the sale of German wine increased. Now, this was a very interesting phenomenon, and they wanted to understand really why this happened. So, I mean, what the researchers found is that basically the French music, it activates ideas of Frenchness, and people remember that probably that experience, that amazing experience they had when they went to France, or the French experience of when they watch movies, and they wanted as much as they can of that, because you crave for that French experience, which is why the best and simplest way to get that experience is by getting a French bottle of wine. So that is and this is called it's called a priming effect. It's trying to influence people to do a certain thing. So I mean, so that's really how brands have looked to prime people to make sure they buy what they want you to buy. And obviously, because this was subliminal, no customers really believed that any music had any influence on their product choice. But the fact is that the numbers clearly showed that the sale increased when they played, the sale of French wine increased when they played French music. So, I mean, another example is Selfridges, which is a departmental store in London. And what they do is they have different kinds of music in different sections. And as soon as you enter, there is slightly fast-paced music. The reason being is that when you have fast tempo and fast-paced music, theory says that you tend to walk faster. So what happens with that is you get so when you walk faster, you go more into the store. And then what they have is slightly slow music in the more premium sections of the Louis Vuittons and the all the very like Hermès and all of that, so that they want you to spend more time. And how do they get you to spend more time in these sections? Is really by playing classical and play not classical, but playing really, really, really slow music. So I mean, so that just shows that they want you to get in the store and spend more time in these expensive places, so you spend most of your money there. So I mean, these are just a few ways of using sound to market. And even like cars they've really engineered the sounds of these car engines to differentiate themselves among these other cars. And you have the fresh pop of Coke when you open, and Pepsi, you remember that. So this aspect has really been, I mean, they've thought this through to make sure that that sound is very, very, very distinctive. Now, I'm sure you all remember, people also create sound logos. I'm just going to play one and going to see if you all can try and guess it. Just fill it in the chat box. Exactly, Twitter. So, it's just easily, so like these brands, like you don't even have to see or, so they've really created that brand identity really well. And there are many more examples like that, like you have McDonald's, you have Intel, you have Samsung, you have LG, Lifegood, Skype. So by having that Nokia, Netflix, exactly, Windows, great. So they've really created they've been consistent with their sound to make sure that you remember their brand whenever that is played. So moving on to taste. So taste is also, taste is very interesting because sometimes what we see influences how we taste things. And just to show you, so for example, the way we taste things is highly affected by what product information is there, the brand names, the packaging, the advertising, and even the crunch sound. So it really, I'm just going to show you an example of what I exactly mean. So here, what they saw is that if you add 15% more of yellow only to the green packaging, people felt that there was more lemon in the Sprite. Just to show that, we are irrational beings, and we tend to really go by what we see. And just one example of how we're just so highly influenced by what we see. And another example is that I don't know how many wine lovers are there, but most people, when you added a red dye in a white wine, they genuinely thought it was red wine. Probably a wine lover would not be able to differentiate, but largely, what we see really influences what we taste. And that's why people were, it's very easy. And that's why they also say, you eat with your eyes. So just to show that it really plays an impact on what you see versus with what you taste. So I don't know how many of you all are MasterChef fans, but there's this restaurant called the Fat Duck, which is a Michelin star restaurant, and they've engineered and tried to market this dish in a certain way that they've literally touched upon all the senses. So if you see underneath the glass, there is actually sand. So there's a feeling of that you could probably touch and play around with that sand. Then that foam that you see there is, in terms of sight, you can literally see the, that's like the froth. So the dish is called the sound of the sea. So that's the froth of the waves that is coming on the seashore. And there's also a smell that they've added, which is the smell of the sea. And the third thing what they've done is they've also added the sound of the sea, which is through the shell. They've given you earphones. So when you eat that dish as a whole, you suddenly feel a little bit more part of it, and it suddenly starts tasting better, and each flavor is a little bit more prominent than it would have been. So clearly you can see that like people are using it, to try and influence and try and position themselves a little bit more premium and get people even more engaged in their product. And just lastly, when you think of touch, so when you think of touch, there are four things when you think of touch. So one is the texture, the weight, temperature, and hardness. So we can feel premiumness when there's certain, like a silky texture we would normally associate with luxury, whereas plasticky would be probably low on quality. Weight also we associate. I'd rather just show you examples of what I mean. So if you look at here. So when you go to a premium restaurant, I mean, you look at the heaviness of the cutlery. We associate that to premiumness, and even like there was a study which showed that people were more willing to pay for a heavier bottle of wine, like they were willing to pay more money for a heavier bottle of wine because purely they associate that, okay, fine, this wine bottle is more expensive. Uh, because it weighs heavier. You all might think that this is the most stupidest and ridiculous thing, but we are irrational, stupid beings. Just irrational beings, and we just our mind just tends to associate these things together. Another example is what Rice Krispie has done. So, if you had Rice Krispies and you put it in your mouth, so it's the texture is very different, and there's a popping sound that gets created in your mouth. So even if I not to tell you that this is Rice Krispies, because of that popping sound, you'd know that it is. And the brand has literally worked on creating that texture so that it can differentiate itself from other cereal bars in its category. So it's also a way to differentiate yourself from another brand or competitor. Another aspect when you talk about temperature, um, and I don't know how many of you uh, have watched Big Bang Theory, but what Sheldon's mom says is that whenever someone is sad, that you should give them a hot cup of tea or just something warm, a warm beverage. So, this actually is in line with, academic theory, which exactly a hot beverage. So, what it says, basically, when you hold a warm cup in your hand, you suddenly start feeling the world is a better place, and you start being a little bit more agreeable with the people around you. Okay, now pause and think. When you, shops and places where you go might not know this, but they are doing it to you. Like when you enter a car, a car showroom, when you enter any other place, what is the first thing they ask you is, would you like tea, coffee? Like, yes, it's a gesture of being kind, and they may not even know that this study, and they may be just doing this out of kindness to give you some tea or coffee, but this is what it really does. It makes you be a little bit more agreeable with the person. So if the salesman is trying to sell you something, then you're slightly 5 to 10% more likely to agree with them if you're holding something warm in your hand. So just the power of how we can look to influence people. And just lastly, if you this is something very, very, very basic. Innocent smoothies, in jewelry shops as well, Gaurav, exactly. So so this is just a very simple basic example. So what Innocent Smoothie did for their refrigerators, they just added this fake grass on their refrigerator, and people could just touch it and touch, like, it's something so stupid and something just like, you could, and it but differentiated their product from all the other brands. And what the study said, what the results said is that people were like just touched it and just engaged with it. But more than anything, what we care about is sales, and it just dramatically increased or doubled the sales of Innocent Smoothies. So just to show that, there's just different ways in which how people are really using these senses to you. So this is, so just on a general note, to just sum up everything. So what you would need to apply this kind of marketing, you need to first understand the entire customer's journey. And I think, I'm sure in one of your marketing lectures, you'll be you'll be I don't know if you have service marketing yet, but you'll be understanding the entire journey that the customer goes through. So once you do that, you look at what senses is the customer interacting with us in at that point in time? Like, for example, in a website, there's only so much you can do. But when there's an e-commerce platform and when you're sending something home, you could literally add scent to the packaging to get him even more emotionally engaged. So, I mean, once you map up these senses based on the customer journey, you will be able to nicely craft and focus on each sense to create a nice sensory marketing plan to engage with the customers even more. So that's it from me. Thank you so much for having me, and please fill in the chat box with any questions that you have or anything you would like to ask me. Okay. Yeah. So should I just take a few questions?
Yes, sure. If you want Anahita to read them, she could do that.
Actually, I have the chat is there. Okay, so Anushka, okay, so who started the concept of sensory marketing? There's no one who really, I can't say who really started this concept, but I'll definitely tell you that there are many academic researchers in this space. Aradhana, I mean, and if you want to read more about this, Aradhana Krishna, she's written a book called Customer Sense and Sensory Marketing, it's called. So she's given a lot of examples from them. A lot of my examples are from her work. So, I mean, there are many researchers in this like space, but it's a very emerging space. So, I mean, you can look at her. There are few Harvard Business articles that you'll find. So, yeah, I think that's one way to approach this. Okay, which is the most reliable sense? So I mean, reliable is probably slightly vague, but if you look at the one that really highly emotionally engages you, you could probably say smell, but it might change from person to person. Okay. How do I sell more with? Okay, what if the sweet perfume from fruits fly over to the place where they sell meat? Sales will drop, right? Okay, okay. So the great question, Shonik. So basically, the thing with like as you saw in the retail example, they have these scents in different areas primarily. So yes, that is a concern that you need to take. Like you can't have one entire place with like 5-6 senses, because that sense will, I mean, it will not work. Like it will just backfire, as you rightly said. So it's important to make sure that for these specific places they have specifically dedicated scent. So obviously make sure that that scent does not move on to the meat section or any other section. Okay. Okay. So how do you see digital marketing growing further? I mean, I'm just going to frame it in this sensory lecture. So the one thing you can't do right now, okay, so right now I can see you, I can hear you, but I cannot touch you, I cannot smell any product that you're trying to sell me. So a cool idea would be, I mean, when we start, when it becomes so technologically advanced where you can actually engage and feel a part. So with virtual reality coming in, you are trying, I mean, it is definitely engaging you a little bit more and touching, feeling, and being a little bit more experiential. But really, that's where I mean, I think that's where we're headed. Is smell diffusion healthy? Now that really depends on how they are creating the smell, because people like I mean, Subway and all, their smell is not artificially created. It is purely I mean, it's pure, it's natural bread smell. But again, like, think of it like I mean, perfume. I mean, it's not very different from perfume that you wear. So I mean, but again, too much of it is bad. So yeah. Okay, any book you would suggest relating to marketing? Okay, so I don't know how many of you know Simon Sinek. He is literally my favorite marketing guru, and there are many. I mean, there's so many, but he's someone. Amaya sir introduced me to Simon Sinek. His book called Start with Why is something that got me really fascinated with just marketing in general. And you can, his TED talk has got the, I think, third highest most views. So his TED talk, you could just Google Simon Sinek Start with Why TED talk, and you'll find his TED talk, and it just gives you the most basic understanding of how you should look at marketing. So yeah. Okay. Simon Sinek, which is, I'll just type it. Yeah. Okay. Okay, will a close smell of blood increase the sales of a butcher shop? To be honest, these things you only know once you test. I'm not going to give you a yes and no. Test it out. I mean, all what I've shown you right now is based on experiments and research that has been proven. So you can't. I mean, you can try and just. I mean, you can try your luck, but I mean, you'd have to test it to actually know for sure. And it differs from location to location. So yeah. Yes, you can use all the sensors together to maximize sales. Do natural smells work better than artificial smells? I would. I mean, it really depends on. I mean, as long as the person, I don't think that is a. I mean, it's more about the person not knowing that there is a scent that the brand is trying to market to you by using this artificial experience, by using smell. So as long as they don't know, I think it doesn't really make a difference whether it is artificial or natural. Will COVID affect sensory marketing? I don't quite understand. I'm not too sure if there is a relation. But with COVID, the one thing what's happening is we're ordering home more. So when you, I mean, and one thing what people are not done with e-commerce is they have not used Scent. You can easily use Scent when you're shipping things home. They've not used that. So that's one thing that people could try. Yeah, I think that's it.
Thank you so much, Krish. It was very enlightening and very, very engaging lecture. Everybody was filling up the chat box, and I'm sure it was brilliant for everyone. I personally have taken down notes, and I'm going to be using these examples in all my lectures for the entire year.
Thank you so much for having me. I think
yes, I have learned so much, and I would request Professor Rifa to please conclude by giving the vote of thanks.
Yes, sure. Hello, everyone. I would like to thank the speaker for today, Mr. Krish Velkar. Thank you so much for introducing the concept of sensory marketing to us. Like it was a very new topic for a lot of us, and the examples you came up with, all of that was so interesting. And especially when you spoke about the groceries using that smell, that is something I wasn't aware of. And thank you so much. Thank you for taking out time for this. And it was good to have you. Next, I would like to thank the principal, Ms. Dr. Pooja Ramchandani, for giving us this opportunity. Thank you so much, Kanupriya ma'am, for arranging this. I would like to thank the technical team, Vidhi Jain, Anahita Hirani, Nishant Jain, and Ashray Manglik. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all the students for attending this webinar and being so interactive and being so active in this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome.
Thank you. So it's been a pleasure, but I don't want to leave. I want to continue this session, but I think we will have to end. So, but looking forward to a session that is happening by the Case Study Club tomorrow. If anybody would be interested, please do engage and do join in for that session. It will be at 11:45. Krish, for your information, we've started a new club in the college called the Case Study Club, where we are promoting the understanding of concepts through solving case studies and getting strategy and consulting as a part of it. So yeah so that is something new. So anybody who would like to join, please do join. It will be at 11:45 tomorrow. Zoom link will be forwarded very soon. Yes, and personally, again, heartfelt gratitude to you, Krish, and I'm so proud of everything that you have done. Yes.
Thank you so much. All thanks to you and building that curiosity.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining.
Can I end the meeting now?
Yes.